Welcome to Kevin and Brian's Horror Drive-In Theater Podcast, where each week we cover the latest horror news, shorts, and 2 creature feature reviews.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Brian.
This week after the news, we'll cover the drive-in classic, Ravenous, followed by a discussion of a short film called Text, and a modern film also called Ravenous.
Get your fudgesicles and orange-sherbert push-ups. Turn up the volume and relax. Here we go. And first, the news. First up, Deadline.com reports that in part of the Sci-Fi Network's effort to expand into horror, a Chucky series is coming to TV.
I love this idea.
I already do. They have the rights. They're making a plan. This project comes from the movie franchise creator Don Mancini and producer David Kirshner, as well as Nick Antosca, who made Hulu's The Act. So when are we going to see our favorite evil doll appear on the screen?
We don't know. We will wait impatiently for this to happen. They have a plan. It sounds definite. There's no definite dates. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one. And we'll have to watch it when it comes out, for sure.
Wonder if it's going to be him killing people every week or if it's going to be more of an anthology series. Could be a lot of different things.
Yeah, they could go a lot of different ways with it.
Remember the Friday the 13th series that had absolutely nothing to do with Jason?
I bet this will have things to do with Chucky, though.
I hope so. With CGI and all that stuff, they could do this a lot more cheaply than they used to.
They wouldn't even have to have a real physical Chucky anymore.
Not really. It might be easier not to.
Motion capture, some actor doing it.
Sounds good. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Next, we have a new tabletop role-playing game called The 1,000-Year-Old Vampire by Tim Hutchison. This is due to be released around June 1st this year, and currently in a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter page has a lot of information about the graphics, videos, and free downloadable playtest that is lengthy and involved.
I think this is the most stuff I've ever seen on a Kickstarter page. The amount of detail and explanation and pictures and graphics and that free sample. It's really worth checking out. Looks like a cool game.
Does sound neat.
Yeah. I think so many Kickstarters just seem like a fantasy or something that's not really going to happen. And this really does seem genuine, like it's going to happen.
They've got it all planned out, organized,
so.
and outlined, it looks like.
Yeah. A lot of faith in this one.
Sounds good. Third, Sarah Michelle Gellar will be tapping into her roots as a commercial and horror movie actress on February 3rd with an Olay skincare commercial.
During the Super Bowl.
The star of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the Grudge films is in Olay's Killer Skin campaign. The teasers have shown her at home under threat from a masked intruder. Will she have to fight, run, or just help them out with skincare?
Maybe all three. She's done quite a bit of commercial work.
A lot of commercial work back in the day.
Yeah, especially before Buffy.
And now with all the new hype about supposedly a new Buffy series coming up, she may be making a comeback of her own.
Mm-hmm,
even if she's not in the series.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Lots of nostalgia-type ads on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there always are. But the trailers, there's some teaser trailers on YouTube that we put a link in the show notes. Those look kind of creepy.
And as we record this, Sunday will be Super Bowl Sunday, and we'll find out for sure then.
Yeah.
Next up, The Verge has confirmed that a new adaptation of The Stand is coming as a 10-part series on CBS All Access. Means we got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Stephen King himself is excited and gives this project his full support, and this one's going to be directed by Josh Boone and written by Josh Boone and Ben Cavill. This was previously done as an 8-hour series way back in 1994.
I remember that. I saw it. It was
I thought
pretty
it was
good.
Pretty good, but it was clearly a TV movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was going to be other versions of this previously that have fallen through, but this one is going to be a sure thing.
Mm-hmm. Most definite. I'm looking forward to it.
Don't know who's in it yet or any of that, but it'll be coming.
Yep, it is. And speaking of more Stephen King-related news,
the sequel to The Shining is set to be released in November of this year.
from Warner Brothers.
Dr. Sleep.
Now, I don't know if you all knew that there was actually a novel out there since 2013 that's a sequel to The Shining. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
I didn't realize that.
I realized that. I haven't read it yet, but I knew it.
We'll have to get that.
Yes.
Certainly have read The Shining and seen both movies.
Well, the movie is going to star Ewan McGregor as the grown-up Danny.
Oh, he's still having his shinings?
Not so much, I guess, age and alcohol has kind of dimmed the shine.
Taking the shine off.
Yes, it has. But there's a little girl who's got a shining of her own going on, who's running into some trouble, and he helps her out, teams up with her. Hilarity ensues.
Yeah, it sounds neat.
Yeah,
Mike Flanagan, the guy who directed The Haunting of Hill House, is going to be bringing us this one.
And some bonus weirdness.
Self-proclaimed tinker gnome Jared Gray has made the best out of the pain in the backside conditions of sleep apnea by modifying his CPAP machine to look like he's been attacked by a facehugger from Alien.
And it's really cool. It looks really realistic.
His blog gives a detailed account of how he did it, so you can do it too, with plenty of photos. Well, it's not ready for mass production just yet. It really is very neat.
Yeah, he put a lot of work into it, and he goes really step by step how he did it, the carving and the fitting and so forth.
And we'll link to that in the show notes.
Very cool. Check that out.
Okay, and now we're going to move over to our drive-in special feature. Are you hungry?
I am.
Meat.
And you are who you eat, they say.
And this time we're going to be talking about the movie Ravenous
from 1999.
And this one stars
a lot of people that you know.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce, Robert Carlyle, David Arquette, Jeremy Davies, Jeffrey Jones, John Spencer in his last movie role.
Yeah, you recognize almost everyone in this movie.
Mm-hmm. If you don't know their names, you at least recognize them.
You know, that guy from that movie.
Yeah.
That series, yeah. A lot of these people.
John Spencer dedicated to The West Wing full-time right around the same time.
He made a lot of movies, and then he moved to the West Wing and stopped doing movies because of his time commitments.
And then he died, and that wasn't good.
No movies after that.
No movies after that, yeah. So anyway, set in the 1847 during the American-Mexican War going on.
Though I think the war had ended by this point. This is before the Civil War. It's basically, we don't see it happen, but gold had just been discovered in California. And these guys out on this remote base are expecting in the spring a whole bunch of travelers coming through looking for gold.
Fort Spencer.
But right now Fort Spencer has 8 people working there. Just 8 people out on this lonely military base in the frozen Rockies.
And it's cold.
It's cold.
And it's dreary. And
a couple of things you get from this movie right away is it is cold, it is remote, it is dreary, and it is filthy. Everything there is dirty, grungy, and even the commanding officer says, tedium is our business. Everything here is tedious.
We thrive on tedium.
Just to show how boring this place is, on the main character's first evening there, the commanding officer sits down at the table and says, well, did anyone do anything today? And it's the most awkward dinner you ever saw.
And nobody speaks up, and the 2 guys that spent the day smoking pot are just sitting there giggling. And that's another day at the fort.
But before we get into this too much, we have to talk about the main character, Captain Boyd, played by Guy Pearce. And he's a war hero. He was just given a medal at a fancy dinner where he captured one of the Mexican command bases in the war. He's this great war hero now. He's got the badge, except he's not as much as a hero as we've been led to believe.
Yeah, and the general, that's why he gives him a promotion, but also sends him to this crap job out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, he's really a coward who was playing dead, and he got lucky and able to take over this base.
They dragged what they thought was his body behind enemy lines, and then he wasn't dead and took over the command base.
So major coward, but also a hero. So as a quote reward, he gets assigned to this remote base where no one really wants to be. So while he's there on his first night after that awkward dinner we were talking about, he spots through the window a man who he doesn't recognize. They go outside and find an unconscious man sleeping out there. They warm him up. He wakes up the next day, and it's Robert Carlyle.
The character of Calhoun, who has an amusing story to tell.
Yeah, he's been, along with a caravan of people, trapped in a mountain pass for 3 months with no food at all.
Well,
You ever go 3 months without food?
there is food, actually, because
doesn't work
people
that
are made of meat, it turns out.
They started eating the horses. They started eating the oxes. They didn't last long, so soon they started eating each other.
The first one died of natural causes, and they said, hey, let's not waste this meat. And then they started killing each other.
Yeah, he says at this point, and then things got out of hand.
Yes, they did.
After the first bit. Okay, so meanwhile, George the Indian tells Boyd about this creature called a Wendigo. And he says, when one man eats another, he steals his spirit and strength, and his hunger becomes insatiable. And he thinks that's what Calhoun is. He's eaten these other people, and now he wants more. Could he be right? Well, we don't know yet.
And Calhoun says that it came down to just 3 of them. There's a Colonel Ives and him and Mrs. McCready, and he knew he wasn't going to last long, so he booked out of there and ran, is what he said. Well, they got to go. The Colonel Hart
We have to go rescue them.
It's our job. We have to go rescue Mrs. McCready from Colonel Ives. And so they all set off on a hiking trip.
And they all walk up the
Well,
mountain
most of them
slowly.
do.
Yeah, there's five or six of them. And they go up the hill, and one of these guys falls off a cliff accidentally, rolls down the hill screaming, and he sort of impales himself on a tree. He's not dead, he's just wounded pretty badly. Later that night, he's in a tent recuperating, and he starts to scream.
Wakes everybody up.
Wakes everybody up. They all come in to see what was going on, and he has one of the best lines in the movie.
He was licking me.
He was licking me! And, of course, he blames Calhoun for licking his wound.
And Calhoun barely talks his way out of it. Says he was having a nightmare, and he woke up, and he couldn't help himself. He didn't know what he was doing, and yeah.
Fooling nobody.
Yeah.
So they tie him up for the rest of the trip.
And they get to the cave. Really pretty scenery. Nice scenery.
A lot of scenery, location shooting on this, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very pretty.
Again, it's
Snowy,
all very either snowy,
woodsy.
wet, or dreary, but it's
No,
nice
once they get away
scenes.
from the fort, it's very nice. You know, the mountains and the woods. And
Okay, so Reich, the soldier of the group, and Boyd go into the cave to explore.
well, they're all soldiers, but Reich is really gung-ho.
He's the gung-ho one,
Yeah, he's soldier boy.
Yeah, everybody else is just sort of slackers. So they go in the cave and explore, and the rest of them are standing outside. Reich goes down in this hole and finds all 6 bodies of the entire party. There were supposed to have been 3 of them eaten, and he finds all 6 eaten. So who could have done that?
Calhoun.
Had to be Calhoun.
Ate them all.
So as they climb out of the hole and run out of the cave, they find that Calhoun has gone berserk. He's killed Indian George, and he stabbed Colonel Hart. He chased Toffler into the woods, and off-screen kills him. And, of course, the whole time there's funky, upbeat bluegrass music playing.
I really like the soundtrack. It's really interesting.
I don't normally notice
Kinda
music and
twangy and-
soundtracks in movies, but this one was just weird.
It's weird and distinctive. And
It's not quite funny music. It's not really jokey music, but it's got a humor to it.
kinda. Well, there's a lot of dark humor in the movie. A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay, so Calhoun jumps out and stabs Reich, who falls off a cliff. 700 feet straight down. He's got to be dead. Boyd shoots Calhoun, but Calhoun freaks him out so much that Boyd jumps off the cliff to avoid him.
Well, Calhoun, gets up laughing after he's been shot.
Yeah, that's
that's-
not a normal thing to do.
That's not a normal reaction after you've been shot.
He didn't miss him. He's not wearing a bulletproof vest.
No, he
just
got shot
up.
and he just gets up laughing. Yeah.
So Boyd jumps 700 feet off this cliff, lands in trees,
That's the most cringeworthy landing.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Falling through the branches and rolling down the hill. Cracks his leg pretty bad.
He only
Ouch.
broke one bone, which is
Ouch.
kind of
It's
hard
just
to believe.
A
but-
painful landing. It looks very realistic.
Okay, so anyway, he does wind up at the bottom of these trees with Reich's dead body, His leg is broken and the bone's sticking out, and he's not going to go anywhere. He can't get back down the mountain like that. He's going to die. But Willie, he remembers what Calhoun has told him about eating the other dead people.
And Reich is made of meat.
And he's right next to him.
Well, when you get hungry enough...
One thing leads to another.
He finally does, yeah.
He tries it.
And he makes his way back to the fort.
Very quickly.
He gets better.
On his new healthy leg.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the general is visiting, or the general has come to investigate, and he doesn't believe this story.
Well, they go to the cave, and they don't find any evidence at all. Calhoun has cleaned up everything.
But on the way back, the general picks up the new colonel to replace Colonel Hart, who was killed.
And guess who he is?
It's Calhoun.
No, it's Colonel Ives.
It turns out it's the same person. Calhoun was one of the victims that Ives assumed his identity.
Mm-hmm.
So now Calhoun/Ives is in charge of the camp.
And nobody believes Boyd.
None of the survivors ever saw Calhoun before.
And they suggest, well, you shot him in the shoulder, that would leave a mark.
Let's see your two shoulders.
And he very dramatically reveals the other shoulder. And you think, oh, they've got him. And then he shows his other shoulder, and there's no scar.
And they're both scar-free.
Because he's got superpowers.
We know he's healed himself.
Yeah, it's kind of vampire-y, kind of. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, Calhoun knows that Boyd ate some of Reich, and Calhoun gets him alone, or I should say Ives at this point, gets Boyd alone, and he does the supervillain thing where he explains everything. He really does get stronger after eating the dead, and he kind of enjoys it.
Mm-hmm. Has no regrets, once more.
So, meanwhile, Boyd is keeping an eye on Calhoun very carefully, and one of the privates there, Cleves, he turns up dead. Boyd is blamed because he's been alone.
All the horses get killed.
And the horses as well.
They blame Boyd, too.
Okay, so who could have killed Cleves? It wasn't Ives, because Boyd had been watching them the whole time. Well, Calhoun kills Major Knox, just as Colonel Hart, who had been killed up on the mountain, returns.
Surprise, he wasn't dead.
He wasn't dead.
Calhoun force-fed him and cured him.
And he's totally healthy, strong,
and he's on board.
Not dead.
Sort of on board. He feels good, and he's all healed up, but he's kind of regretful.
And he was the one who killed Cleves and all the horses. So they were in it together. They're partners. And really, Hart is, like you said, his heart's not in it. He survived, and he's feeling good, but he's not feeling good about it.
He's fundamentally too good of a person. He
and
can't
I think
do it.
I already said about the best line in the movie. There's even a better line at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's lonely being a cannibal. It's tough making friends.
Says Colonel Hart, yeah.
Okay, so Hart releases Boyd on the condition that he kills him. I'll let you go, but you got to kill me. I can't be like this anymore.
Before he kills Ives, you got to kill me first, so he does.
And he does.
Yeah. And then there's a knockdown, drag-out fight.
They repeatedly stab each other in what normally should be fatal ways.
And I read in the trivia that the set actually ran out of fake blood. There's a lot of blood in this movie.
Anyway, they stab each other with pitchforks and knives and daggers and swords and just beat each other with sticks. And like I said, they should have died repeatedly. But they're both superhuman at this point because they've both eaten dead people. Except Boyd has this trap that he's set up. And I mean trap in a literal way.
Because you might need to hunt elephants in the California mountains.
It's a bear trap that's got to be 4 feet around. You could catch
an elephant.
Anything in this thing.
An elephant, literally.
Yeah, it's not a realistic trap. But the two of them land in this trap, and it snaps shut and kills both of them. They yell insults to each other and threaten to kill each other and threaten to eat each other for like 5 minutes. It's slow death.
Mm-hmm. Martha comes back, and she takes one look at him and nopes out of there.
She turns around and leaves.
Yeah.
If you die first, I'm definitely going to eat you. What will you do if I die first? And that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they both die. And one of the last scenes in the movie is the general has come back to the camp, finds the soup with Major Knox cooking in it, and he tries the soup, and it tastes pretty good.
It's delicious.
Maybe he'll be the next generation. We
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so what'd you think?
I loved it.
I thought it was very good.
This is the third time I've seen it.
I've seen it twice now, and it's not as funny as I remembered it. If you took away the funky music, it's not really that funny.
It's got some funny lines.
It's like
Dark
it
humor.
was shot in total seriousness, and somebody decided to make it a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm. With the music.
It's kind of a weird movie in that it tries to not be funny, but it is. There's there's a few definitely jokey lines in it.
So it's a dark humor Western horror movie. Soldier war.
Definitely.
Yeah. But heavy on the horror.
Depends if you consider cannibalism horror. For some people, it's just a way of life.
I don't think it really works like that, though, from what I've heard.
Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it.
Well, you'll never know then. Okay, so thumbs up for me. I'd say probably 7 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Really? That good? Okay.
Yeah.
And you're sure you haven't tried it?
I'm sure. Yeah.
It was just that one time, but I guess we won't go any further. Okay, so next up, we have our movie short of the week called
Text. And it's
All
spelled
right.
funny. Well, the font is funny. It's small case T, capital EXT.
And we'll have a link in the show notes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our short this week is one called Text, and it's spelled a little strangely. It's little lowercase t, capital EX, and a lowercase t.
Like an X, because it's her
Oh,
ex.
it's her ex.
boyfriend.
Okay. And this came out in 2017. As usual, we'll have a link in the show notes to YouTube.
I thought this was freaking great.
I thought it was very good. Yeah, it's a whole
Yeah.
complete story, which is not a given with shorts, but this one is from start to end. It's a whole story.
There's no dialogue.
That's right, there is not.
It's entirely by text communication. A gal in an apartment, and she's on her phone.
Texting a friend back and forth. What are you doing? Are you out of bed yet? Things like that. And in the middle of the conversation, her ex-boyfriend starts texting her, apologizing for something he's done. We don't know what.
But she's not having it. And the girlfriend is encouraging her to, cut it off with the guy.
Yeah, quit answering the guy. Just ignore him. He's nothing but trouble. Ignore him. Meanwhile, he's like, I'm sorry. I apologize. What did I do? And
I want to talk to you in person. Can I come in person? Can I come to the door?
Of course, she says no. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him. And then there's a knock at the door. The doorbell rings. She goes and looks, and there's nobody there.
Nice and suspenseful, but that ended up being a red herring.
Okay, we're not going to spoil the ending, though.
No, we shouldn't.
It's
Just
actually very good. It's
about 9 minutes long total.
9 minutes long. Good, yep.
Yeah.
A couple of things I wondered in this, though. It's like people don't even realize at some point when somebody's calling you or texting you that you don't want to hear, that you could block them.
Or you could even turn the phone
Turn
off.
the phone off, yeah. Just so many people, it just never occurs to them to turn their phone off. You know we're old.
I mean, it has an off switch.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Used to be you could take the phone off the hook before cell phones, but nobody remembers before cell phones, do they?
No, nobody.
Yeah. You still can take the phone off the hook. It's just a matter of hitting that little button.
Yeah. Anyway, 2 thumbs up, I think.
Yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up. 3 thumbs up from me.
Well, I only got 2, so it's 5 total.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, go see Text. It takes 10 minutes. It's free. It's good.
Highly recommended.
Now, on to our modern movie this week. Our drive-in movie a little while ago was Ravenous from 1999. And if you weren't hungry then, you will be after this one, because this is Ravenous from 2017.
La Affames.
Gesundheit.
I bet I'm mispronouncing that terribly. It's a French film. French-Canadian.
Is this a sequel to the other Ravenous?
Not at all.
Not even close.
No, completely different.
Where the other movie was about cannibalism in the Old West, this one is modern day, sort of zombies.
It's the only thing in common is people getting eaten.
Okay, so about 5 seconds into the movie, they're at a racetrack. A couple is kissing, a race car driver and his girlfriend, and this random girl's just staring at them funny. They look at her and say, "What's up?"
You think she's just jealous or something.
And no, she's a zombie and she attacks.
And they just get right to it.
Yeah, right. That was like 5 seconds into it. There was nothing before that. Just boom, it's zombies.
And then boom, zombie apocalypse.
Okay, we're going to avoid spoilers with this like we do all our new movies.
Small town in Quebec, very rural, very country, farmy.
You've seen zombies in the city and zombies out in the deep country. This is sort of just farm country.
Lots of woods, lots of fields.
Again, like we've already spoiled for you, it's a zombie outbreak. These zombies are a little bit different from usual.
Yeah, that was interesting.
They scream a lot like the old zombie, like the old body snatchers.
That's exactly the vibe that I got from it.
They scream when they see you and give that body snatcher kind of howl, and then they chase you very quickly, so these are fast zombies.
And they kind of have maybe a collective intelligence.
They're not
It's
smart,
implied.
but they can open doors, and they
can be kind of crafty.
They're not stupid, but they're not really smart either.
Yeah, it's almost like they're heavily brain damaged, but still functional. It's very strange. It's very interesting take on the zombie thing. I liked it a lot. But
yeah, I thought it was very good.
And it's just survivors doing the survivor thing, basically.
That's pretty much it. I mean, other than their somewhat different behavior, it's not that much different from most of the other zombie movies out there.
They're very interesting characters that you immediately care about and want to know more about, and you don't always know much about them.
There's 7 or 8 actual characters. Of course, there are fewer toward the end.
It's in French with subtitles.
Oh, yeah, that's important. If you don't like subtitles, you may not like this one too much. But if you can deal with subtitles, it's worth following.
Very much so, yeah.
It's a little bit slow-paced. This is not one big scare after another.
Lots of quiet time, but that's okay. I wasn't bored.
There's a couple of good scenes. There was one of them at night where they were all running around in the woods, back and forth, almost like a game of zombie tag. I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one character. He jumps in. It's a jump scare, basically. They're sitting in the car, and this guy jumps and screams in their window.
Just for kicks.
Just for kicks.
Because he likes doing this.
Yeah. And
we were saying, boy, that's a good way to get shot in the face. I mean, people are jumpy and armed and looking out for zombies, and you're jumping out and scaring them. Like,
Boom!
How is that a good idea? Well, it's not a good idea.
Minor spoiler.
We'll leave that at that.
Had really good makeup.
Yes, it did. Good special effects.
Zombies tend to want to bite you like they always do, and it not a hugely gory movie, but what was there was very good.
Mm-hmm. Really effective.
The zombies are doing something. They're not just wandering around eating people. We're not going to no spoilers here, but the zombies seem to have some kind of mystery behind them,
or some collective mission, brain damage. I don't know.
They're doing
Somehow they're
something.
seeing something together that they're working on together.
Yeah, and we're not going to go there.
But a lot of it you just have to figure out for yourself too, because they don't really explain a lot of it.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's a different take on the zombie genre.
Very good. Again, it's subtitled, which a lot of people don't care for. But if you can do subtitles, it's definitely worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
And stick around. There is an end credit scene, which was
Kinda made
not
you
in
go,
any way clear to
huh?
me what that was about. But
Yeah, what
it's
was that
something you
supposed
can
to
Google.
mean? But yeah.
Yeah, once you see it, watch the end credit scene, and then Google the meaning behind it, and you'll figure it out.
This is a Netflix film.
Is it available on DVD?
No, not
Okay.
that I could find. Only on Netflix currently. French Canadian.
Oh, it actually said made for Netflix in the credits,
yeah,
didn't it? Okay.
I think it might be like they made it and Netflix picked it up.
Yeah, one
after
of those
the fact,
licensing deals.
Because it was Quebec and then premiered in Toronto, like at just a screening kind of festival. And I think probably Netflix picked it up from there. They said, yeah, that's good. We want to show it, and then we'll make it a Netflix movie.
Okay.
I think that's how it happened.
So if you like zombie movies, this one's a little bit different. Definitely worth checking out. Gets an 8 out of 10 from me.
10 out of 10.
Best movie you ever saw?
Well, not the best, but up there. Yeah, really good.
Wow, you're generous.
And it's strange, too, because we didn't recognize any of the actors.
No.
But looking on IMDb, they're all experienced actors with, 21, 30, 40 acting credits.
Well,
just international.
If you watch a lot of, French Canadian stuff, I mean, they may be a very big deal.
Yeah, but to us American guys, yeah, we didn't recognize anybody, but they were all really good.
Yeah, they were. And again, one of those movies that has a kid who's not annoying.
Right.
Huh.
And a teenager who was not annoying.
This is just, you think movies are starting to catch on with the annoying kids?
Maybe. There's
Wow.
hope.
Or maybe all the annoying kids have already been eaten. Can't keep quiet? You're doomed.
Yep.
All right, well, the sun is starting to come up, so we're going to get going. The drive-in, as always, is closing down for the weekend. If you want, stop in during the week at our website, horrorbulletin.com, for news and horror updates, to read the written versions of these reviews, or just to contact us. Check us out on Twitter at horrorbulletin, or the website, of course, at horrorbulletin.com. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And pick up your litter and return your speakers before you leave the drive-in. Stop back in next week.
See ya.
See ya.